Hi everyone, Scott here from Illumination Art. I hope you have a wonderful day. So if you saw my video yesterday, you'll know I had to get a new printer because my old printer was on its way out. And sadly that printer was with me for 4 years. But you know, these things happen. So basically today's video I wanted to test my new printer and how good of a print my actual new printer does compared to my old one. So if you guys know from my past tutorials that my actual homemade TCG cards do print out the exact same size as a normal TCG card. Yeah, my Crystal Eater Serpent, as you see in front of me, when I used that on my new printer, it printed off a lot bigger. So what I had to do is actually shrink down the card and then do a new test print. And luckily in my new test print, the card actually prints off now the size that I want. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using one of my other cards from my homemade TCG, Illumination Souls Legends TCG. And that card is going to be my Killia, which is right here. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to also compare the two cards together just to show you how much I had to resize my card for my new printer. So I'm just going to drag off my Crystal Eater Serpent right here. And I'm just going to bring him next to my Killia. So as you can see, guys, there is a big difference there. Even on my old printer, my Crystal Eater Serpent printed off the exact same size as a normal TCG card. Yet on my new printer, it printed off a lot bigger. So I had to shrink it down to what my Killia is now. And from my new test print, my Killia is the size that I want, which is the exact same size as a normal TCG card or a Game Crafter card. So you can still see how much of a difference I had to do from my old printer to my new printer to get the size that I wanted. So that proves to you guys that don't ever listen to what people tell you about what a size of a certain card is. Because once you actually use it for Photoshop and actually use it for your printer, depending on the printer and depending on the software you're using, it won't print off to be that size. It'll either print off to be bigger or smaller. So always do a test print, guys, and always do your resizing if you need it. So that is why I always recommend you do a test print. And if you want to know how I do a test print, guys, do not worry. I'll leave a card in the top right corner there showing you my tutorial on how I set up a test print. So what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to do a brand new test print. I'm going to choose 6 print settings to really try out my cardstock and my printer to see what quality my printer can handle under different print settings. And I'll be right back. And we are back. So I'm just going to move this out of the way because I don't really need that right now. And I'm going to bring in the test prints, which are these right here. So if you've been following my channel, you know I recommend you always do a test print when it comes to a different cardstock or using a different printer, because this is going to save you a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it's going to give you the best print setting to use, and also you're going to save a lot of money in the long run. So what I usually do, I usually choose 6 print settings, which I've done here, and I usually print on one cardstock to save on the cardstock and also my ink as well. So as you can see, I've gone for a different type of setting here, which is printer setting, properties, greeting card setting. And what I've done is I've gone through 6 different print settings using that type of print paper setting. And what you've got here is the outcome. So I've got postcard print inkjet, which was a print setting that I used, and a lot of the color did come through within the deep blacks, but the intricate detail that you can see here didn't come through on this side. And it was pretty much the same story for the different types here, like matte photo paper. Even though that was the best one I printed on with my old printer, it didn't really work with this print setting right here. And some weird resizing happened with the printer, where my printer automatically resized the actual card. I don't know why, but when I use high resolution paper, it kind of shrunk the card. But there we go. This is why it's important to do your test print. So that was the first test print that I did. I then moved on to a different print paper type setting by going into the printer properties, and I changed it from greetings card to photo printing, and I ended up with this result right here. Now the funny thing is, the plain paper setting, which if you've watched my videos was always the worst one, which is always faded, the contrast wasn't there, the colour wasn't there, the detail wasn't there. But ironically on this was the very best out of all of them, and you can still see it also picked out that intricate detail in there, which is also really hard on all the other print settings to pull out, yet the plain paper setting did it with no problem. And as you can see from the matte photo paper, inkjet, I always struggle saying it, which is Hagaki, to high resolution paper, envelope and normal Hagaki, the plain paper one was the best. The only difference is it shrunk the cards. As you can see, I left a little note right there. Just need to make the cards a little bit bigger. But that blew me away because I wasn't expecting the plain paper to work so well. So from the results of this test print, I moved on to this test print. And again, I just messed around with different types of photo print settings. As you can see here, which is Photo Paper Pro Platinum, all the way to Semi-Gloss, Gloss, Glossy Plus 2 and Photo Paper Pro Luster. And the one that stands out again, ironically, is the plain paper one. So it pays to do a test print, as you can see, and it pays to mess around with your actual printer properties as well. But if you stay to the end of the video, I will show you a small tutorial of how to actually get into your printer properties to actually change the paper type so your printer prints better on the type of cardstock that you are using. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video to know how to get into your printer properties, especially if you're after this type of effect where all your detail, your colours, your artwork, everything pops, your writing pops. And this is just a normal plain paper setting, but because I changed the print properties to photo printing instead of standard, I ended up with this really gorgeous outcome just using, as I say, the plain paper normal print setting. So from the outcome of my test prints, I know now this setup works the best with this cardstock. I know going into my print properties and changing the paper type to photo printing worked a lot better, and even the standard plain paper setting was the best, which is really good to know because plain paper setting every printer has, so you'll be able to achieve this type of level of detail on your cardstock with no problem. And as I say, wait till the end of the video and I'll show you how to actually get into your printer properties to change all that, just like I did to get this effect. So another thing I noticed by doing this test print is for some reason my printer shrunk the card down when it printed out. So what I had to do is go back into Photoshop, resize the card a little bit, and then do my final test print, which is this right here. So if I bring this up to the camera for you guys, it was just the exact same plain paper type setting using the photo printing properties that I changed in my printer properties, and I got the outcome I was after. I've got all the detail, I've even got the very hard detail that all the other settings struggled to pick out, which is the detail in my border there, that intricate detail in there. All my writing is clear, all the colours are very striking, the contrast between the blacks and the whites is what I wanted, the text is so clear, I am really happy with that. And if I just grab a Game Crafter version of one of my cards, which is my Eve right here, and we put her next to my Killia, they are the exact same, and the top to the bottom is the exact same, and is the exact same right there. And this is the comparison I've been waiting for so long, which is to actually look at a Game Crafter version of one of my cards compared to one of my homemade, home printed cards right here. I am so impressed about how well my printers performed. I am so close to getting my cards to look like that of the Game Crafter or a normal TCG card. So that is it guys, that is basically my print test all done. I know now what type of print setting to use for this cardstock for my future cards. I hope you find this kind of helpful, especially knowing when you use a new printer, sometimes you will have to do a brand new test print and resize your cards as well. But other than that guys, as I say, watch to the end of the video if you want to know how to actually get into your printer properties to change the paper type. Let me know in the comment section below guys if you found this tutorial helpful. Hopefully it shows you that you can get more out of your printer by going into the printer properties and get the most out of your ink and the most out of your cardstock. But other than that guys, until the next video, have fun making TCGs, have fun playing TCGs. I'll be back real soon with another tutorial and more videos real soon. But until then guys, have a wonderful day and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye guys. So in case you guys are wondering how to get into your printer settings and your printer properties to change your printer's default print setting to the cardstock that you're going to be printing on, you just need to go to options down here. Then you just need to hit printer properties. So if this is your first time going into your actual printer properties, the first thing you'll notice is standard will always be the thing that is highlighted. That is what your printer has been default to know when it prints in to print on. That is for your plain papers and your standard card. Now to get the best results, as you saw from my test print, I had to change mine to photo printing, and as you saw from my plain paper test, that still blows me away. That was the best setting that came out and the best result that came out. So make sure if you're going to be using this to make your homemade trading cards that you want to make sure you got photo printing selected. You don't really need to mess around with these settings right here. Make sure you got your media type as plain paper, print quality is high, printed paper size A4, make sure it's definitely on portrait, and select the type of feed that you want to print with. So I always use rear paper tray now because it's a lot easier and my new printer gives me that, and also using the rear tray means there's less chance my cardstock's going to get knocked left to right while it's being printed, unlike when you're using a cassette where it's going under the printer, up, around, then through the printer. It's going to get knocked. There is a high chance using the cassette feed it will get knocked, so that means your print will be misaligned slightly. But that is why I use rear tray. Next thing you can do is go to main, and then what you can do here is actually choose your color intensity to auto, so your printer will try and get the best quality out of the colors and the contrast of your artwork or your homemade trading cards. So that's why I've got that ticked. And then make sure you got your print quality set to high, and that is pretty much it. That is how to actually get into your print properties and actually be able to change the printer to know what kind of cardstock you're trying to print on to get the best results. So hopefully that's kind of helped you guys know how to actually get into your print properties to get the best out of your cardstock, and maybe change a few things so your ink quality is a lot better and things look a lot better when you print them out.